saying congratulations on this album. I have had a chance to sit down and take a listen to it today, and it's absolutely amazing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to hear that you like it.
So tell us a little bit about what you wanted to achieve with this album, because I understand you got pretty excited with these tracks even in the demo stage. So tell us a little bit about what you wanted to achieve with this album and what got you so excited during that demo area.
Well, first I have to choose like from which perspective I'm gonna say. Like from band's perspective, what we want to achieve is always to grow bigger and bigger as a band. But from the artistic side of things, I just want to tell the stories of the songs and have these music videos to support the stories, music videos which we haven't done before, like really different ones, not just kind of play through where the band plays and there's a story in the side, but this time it's more like fully story based music videos. So that was one of the things. And song wise, it's just about writing good music. It's never different from any album. It's trying to pick the songs for the album that you feel 100% comfortable. That if any song feels less than 10 out of 10, then it's not gonna end up on the album. Of course, that's a matter of taste. Purely, someone might hate some song that I think is great, but like we once even got a review for an album for a previous album. We got a review that was 1 out of 10 for the whole album. So it's all totally subjective. But yeah, to make good songs and lyrics, and back in 2018, I also knew that at least the themes are gonna be mostly cyberpunk oriented, and
yeah.
So I think everything turned out like kind of like it was planned, to have the cyberpunk, do the videos a different way, and have good songs. And I think we are quite all right with that now.
Definitely. I wanted to talk a little bit about the cyberpunk and the videos later on, but just on with what you said about the demos being so exciting, you kind of said there was melodies there like the early Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. Tell us a little bit about that and what you meant when you said that.
Yeah, I guess there's some misinterpretation because I've been getting also questions about that. The journalist with whom I did this kind of a talk, the Nintendo melodies, game melodies, didn't really influence the writing of this album. We were just talking like generally that back in the day, the composers of the game soundtrack music, they had to be creative and innovative because they didn't have endless amount of plugins and virtual libraries and tracks available. They had to make something that's solid with a small, like with few ingredients, so to speak. And that I said it because that's kind of the point generally when it comes to songwriting. So, if you take any Beast in Black song, grab a guitar and try to play any Beast in Black song, you can see that, hey, it sounds like a song because there's the chord progression and the rhythms for the chords, how they change, and a melody that fits there. And when you have that, that's the core of the song. You gotta have that. And I don't really write demos. It's like I write all the songs with Guitar Pro 4. That's software that's been around for quite a long time. But that version that I've had it almost for 20 years, and I haven't updated it. That's my tool for songwriting. And there are MIDI files, and I complete them like as perfectly as I can, and I was excited about those. That's what I actually meant. So, and after that, it's just like recreating those melodies in real life with real people, in the studio.
Definitely, yeah. And you mentioned, of course, the cyberpunk influence. Tell us a little bit about what kind of things you've been watching recently and what kind of influences did that have on this album when you're putting everything together?
Well, this whole cyberpunk thing is actually kind of a return to the root, so to speak, because when I wrote the first 3 albums for Battle Beast, my previous band, the 2 first albums were heavily influenced by cyberpunk, but after that I didn't write sci-fi cyberpunk themed songs anymore until Dark Connection. So to me it just felt like, okay, the journey that I stopped years ago, now I just continue it by exploring this in these topics. And I was watching this classic 80s and 90s films, Blade Runner, Aliens, sorry, it came in 86, or first Alien came in 79. The Terminator, RoboCop, and then The Matrix, but also a lot of these 80s, 90s cyberpunk animes, which were maybe even, let's say, bigger influence than these films. Such animes like Armitage the Third, Battle Angel Alita, Bubblegum Crisis, AD Police, Goku Midnight Eye. So those are the sources of influence that were really like that I was watching and rewatching them during album making period.
Would you?
And what else? Yeah.
Would you love the opportunity one day to write for a film soundtrack or to write an entire soundtrack? Is that something that you could see yourself doing one day? Because when I was listening to this album, even though every track can stand on its own, it felt like I was listening to a soundtrack.
Yeah, well, that would be something. That would be a musical challenge, an artistic challenge that I would really enjoy, because it's something I've never done before, but it's exciting, and it's the same thing what I told, that like when you have limitations, you don't have like all the tools, like all the hundreds of tracks, all the plugins and sounds, but you have only fewer things that you can do. It forces your brain to be creative, and writing a soundtrack would kind of do that to me in a creative way, that someone, usually the director of the film, sets the frames within which I have to stay. I cannot go outside those frames, because when I write my own songs for Beast in Black, I'm fully free to do whatever I want, but when it comes to soundtrack, it's usually like you have restrictions, but how do you make it work within those restrictions that the director tells you? And I'm curious, how would I survive that challenge? And the thought is exciting already, but there's so many ways to do the soundtrack. Would it be symphonic or like a rhythmical, like, Rocky IV, the film?
Yep.
The soundtrack on that is not like this typical nowadays symphonic orchestra, or it has rock and pop songs, rhythmical songs. So that's a totally different soundtrack compared to, like, let's say Pirates of the Caribbean, which is totally symphonic. No keyboard, like 80s keyboards, no electric guitars or drums, nothing like that. So there's so many ways to do that, and that would be also like interesting. Okay, what would be the approach? What would the director want? And maybe it will happen, maybe not, but at least we kind of do that with the music videos. We've released 2 videos, and the songs are kind of soundtracks for those stories in the video. Maybe you have seen both of the videos, and
I have, yep.
Yeah, so there's no really like band playing parts. So that was something that we wanted to avoid this time. Not to have this typical, 50-50 share. There's some kind of a basic lame story where everything goes in slow motion, and then the band playing parts. Like, that's so typical recipe. Nothing wrong with that, but it's been done a million times already by everyone and by us as well. So now we do it more like we focused fully on the story and try to make the song and the story correlate, so they follow each other. The lyric of the song, it had to make sense to the story that you're watching.
Definitely. I just got sent the second video clip actually this afternoon. I wanted to ask about that. How much influence did you have over those video clips? Like, did you bring in outside directors, or how did that all work with you guys and the video clip?
It was mostly me and Katri Ilona Koppanen, who is the director-writer for us. But for One Night in Tokyo, the other music video, we also asked, I asked a good friend of mine, Ere Ek, to help in the story writing, because he has a really vivid imagination, and he also understands this kind of cartoon, anime, cyberpunk worlds really well, and that's why I thought, hey, I want to ask a good friend of mine to this brainstorming meeting and kind of story writing meeting, and that's how it happened. But the Moonlight Rendezvous was a longer process. It lasted for 1.5 years almost, like since the script until the delivered video to the label. And she wrote the story with me, following the lyrics of the song. I told that, okay, let's expand the lyrics so that the story, the script, what you write has to correlate and make total sense when you watch the video, follow the story, and hear the song. And that's a big challenge, because usually when you kind of make soundtrack, the visual stuff and the story part comes first, and then the composer thinks, okay, what kind of music fits there? But this was the other way around. We had the song and the story, and we couldn't change or stop the song suddenly in some part. Of course, some bands do it and they remix the song for the music video, but that wasn't the case for us. And it was a challenge to bring the story afterwards, but in a visual way that could make sense and follow the song and song lyrics. So she did really great job with that, and we couldn't have done it without her, and that was actually her debut as a director's show. So it's amazing that she took the challenge and accepted our request. That, who does a debut music video like that? Normally.
Yeah.
So we really, hats off to her. We were really super happy that she accepted our request. And the reason why we asked her is because she's been working for Beast in Black since the very beginning for every official music video, but not as a director, but in a productional side of things more. So, but then we thought that, hey, what if you direct the video? And she said yes, and that's how it all started.
Wow, well, it looks absolutely amazing. And talking of things that look amazing, Roman's artwork for this album as well is stunning. What was your first reaction when you saw Roman's artwork for this album?
Well, of course, I saw the development of it. It wasn't like it suddenly was ready and then he showed it to me. We were really actively in contact from the very first draft into the very finished version. It was actually influenced by a couple of episodes from AD Police, this cyberpunk anime from the 90s. The first and the second episode, there are a couple of characters there from which the inspiration came for the album art, and also the first episode of Cyber City 0808. There's some character thing in the end of the first episode that kind of also brought some inspiration to the artwork.
Awesome. Well, mate, it does look absolutely amazing. I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, but I just wanted to ask, what does the future look like for you guys? We are still in lockdown here, but we know the rest of the world is starting to open back up. Will you be able to get out there and tour for this album?
That's the plan. We want to tour as massively as possible. Squeeze everything out of this album, so to speak. And whenever touring becomes more normal again, we'll do that. Meanwhile, we are trying to figure out how do we do the first possible tour like that's supposed to happen in November, December this year. It's already announced a long time ago, but every day the situation changes because, if one country suddenly cannot accept touring bands there to have concerts, then it affects the whole tour. For example, Germany, if they have suddenly they say no shows at all, and we have most of the shows in Germany on that tour, so that's a huge problem. So we have to again change our plans, and should we do half of the shows or not? But that's the situation at the moment, but it will become more normal, I'm sure, and we're gonna tour maybe 3 years or 4 years, hopefully, to go to new territories where we've never been before, like to come to Australia, maybe New Zealand, South America, stuff like that. We're really waiting for the touring to start, because this summer we played only 4 shows, and it felt really nice to be on stage again, and we need that, and to also see the people how they enjoyed in the audience. They were really into it, and we missed that feeling.
Definitely. Well, we would love to have you in Australia sometime soon as well. I guess to wrap up, is there anything you would like to say to our listeners out there before they get a chance to sit down and listen to this album? They've had a chance to hear a couple of singles now, and they seem to be loving it. So what would you like to say to them before they get a chance to listen to the whole album?
Well, first of all, I want to say that big thank you for our fans' patience, for waiting for this new album for a long time, and I hope that the new album will be enjoyable, not just for one time, but that it will give a lasting, enjoyable listening experience that you will always be able to return to it again and again. And I guess that's the thing that every artist hopes, that the albums kind of, in time, that they become immortal, so to speak, and that everyone will find something good in that. Make your own interpretations from the songs, and create your own imaginative worlds while listening to the song. And also check out the animes if you're curious about where the inspiration for the songs come from. Check out those animes like Armitage the Third, Alita, Battle Angel Alita, and also Cyber City 080808. And of course there are some songs about Berserk, which is my favorite manga and anime. So if someone doesn't know that, go check it out. It's really fascinating.
Definitely, I highly recommend those as well. So yeah, for all our listeners out there, go and check them out. Anton, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us tonight. It has been an absolute privilege, and we do hope to see you in Australia very, very soon.